The stories in this video are not stories at all, but articles. Articles about paranormal events that were published in real newspapers 100 years ago.
What is residual energy? Are the participants aware? Do they feel anything? Are they forced to relive the same traumatic moments over and over during their death? Tonight's article is from Massachusetts, 1883, where the ghost of a murderer and his victims have been rehearsing the murders every night.
There's a 100-year-old farmhouse, the old Hammett homestead, situated near the boundary line of Wareham and Middleborough, Massachusetts. In its 100 years, it has been the scene of 2 known murders, though now people are suspecting the number might be much higher than that. The last recorded murder was the tragic murder of a little girl. She was found beheaded in the house's cellar. No arrests were made. It was a terrible mystery that was never solved, and everyone forgot about, until 3 weeks ago. Some school children were on their way home when they saw a girl run out of the old farmhouse screaming. She was immediately followed by a tall, shadowy man who grabbed her and started pulling her towards the house. The girl resisted, so the man hit her on the head and dragged her body inside. The children were frozen in place watching. They watched until the man dragged the girl to a part of the house that couldn't be seen from the windows. Then a loud sound was heard, followed by the sound of many screaming women. This screaming snapped the children out of their trance and sent them all running for home. The next night, 8 young men met up in the woods bordering the house of the alleged sightings to investigate. From their position in the woods, the men could see both men and women frantically walking past the windows, and unearthly shrieks could be heard. Then, as quickly as it started, it all stopped. The light, the shrieks, and the frantic movement, all gone. A half an hour the men waited and saw nothing going on in the old house. After half an hour, the house was again illuminated. This time, the 8 men, suspecting this was some sort of trick or prank, ran towards the farmhouse. But as they got closer, the light, the sounds, and the people would vanish. At this point, one of the men abandoned the other 7 and ran to the village. When he arrived, he was carrying on about what he saw and passed out. The other men didn't see anything else, so they returned to the village and confirmed everything the first man had said happened. 2 nights later, a man and his family were passing by the house while on the way to New Bedford. The house appeared to be on fire. The horses were so frightened, they started running and wouldn't stop until they were a quarter mile away. The horses refused to turn around, so the man went on foot to see what was wrong. The road he was on was curved, so he decided to walk through a small wooded area to save some time. While walking through the wooded patch, he lost sight of the house for a moment and could not find it again, even when out of the woods in front of where the house was. The man was confused by this and continued to New Bedford, where he told people what had happened. With the news of the haunting spreading, some well-known professional spiritualists went to visit the property. While they didn't see anything, they reported hearing female voices, sometimes singing, sometimes screaming, and a deep pounding sound like a bass drum. A gentleman named William R. Luce, who lives near the Middleborough line, has also come forward about the paranormal activity at the old farmhouse. He says that while passing by one evening, he noticed the lights from inside the house. He was worried the abandoned property was being used by thieves and degenerates, and stopped his horse. He could see through the window a group of women moving frantically up the stairs. Then a series of screams and thuds, as one of the women appeared to be thrown down the steps. Mr. Luce ran over to investigate, but as he approached, the lights dimmed. The people faded, and the house stood there abandoned. The owner of the property, Mr. Gibbs, is now petitioned daily to tear down the place. Some locals are worried that someone will take matters into their own hands and burn it down themselves. What was at one point considered by everyone to be a childish prank is now being taken very seriously after all of these sightings.
So, what do you guys think? Are these apparitions experiencing what's happening? Or is this some mindless repeating of the same thing over and over? Let me know in the comments. The owner, Mr. Gibbs, was asked what he thought caused the hauntings. He said he wasn't sure, but heard that years before he acquired the property, it was owned by a dairy farmer that went mad. One summer, the cows started to look distressed, and all at once stopped producing milk. The dairy farmer improved their living space and also brought in the most expensive cow food he could. The cows started to calm down, and a few weeks later, the milk came back. There was only one problem. After having their stalls improved and eating all that expensive food, the milk came out spoiled! Get it? Spoiled?